To include your wishes regarding dependent children, individual with special needs, and pets. Effective estate planning may help avoid costly conflicts between heirs. Elder Law PA handles such cases as Medicaid planning, wills, guardianship, probate and trust, estate planning, and special needs planning. In Florida, there are several strategies available to protect your savings and assets before you apply for Medicaid, as well as programs to offset the cost of home care, assisted living, and nursing homes. The Florida Supreme Court has declared that Florida Medicaid planning activities shall only be performed by an attorney licensed by the Florida Bar. At Elder Law PA, where they have the knowledge and compassion to protect your legacy. Contact Elder Law today for a peace of mind at 561 588 7512. That's 561 588 7512.
You are listening to the Ask the Experts show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
Hey, we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're on every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 with some of South Florida's finest attorneys, doctors, financial people. And tonight, I'm going to get real serious with you tonight because after what's happened with COVID, planning should be more important than ever before. And we have one of the best estate planning attorneys, and they like to be called elder law attorneys, but planning is so important. It's so important you listen to the show tonight. And let me welcome Ryan Smoller. He's the senior partner over at Elder Law. Good evening, buddy.
Good evening. How are you, Steve-O?
I'm so glad to see you back, and you know what I mean.
Yes, sir.
You know what? With COVID, it is so important that people should learn about planning for the future. And if you haven't learned by now with COVID how important it is, you have totally missed the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier, I'm an estate planner and an elder law attorney. They go hand in hand. An elder law attorney is just someone who plans for later life and special needs situations. But you're absolutely correct. Planning doesn't jinx you. It just means it makes it a lot easier for your family and friends in those tougher times to handle the parts that you might have forgotten about earlier.
And Ryan, some people think you have to be a millionaire to sit down with you, and that is just totally not true.
Yeah, no. First off, I'm glad you brought it up, Steve-O. I do all free consultations and all free document reviews for all the folks that are down from up north or out west and they decided to relocate to South Florida. Free consultations, absolutely. But from a substantive point of view, not at all. An estate plan just means you want to make sure the end of your life and the financial part of your demise is taken care of efficiently and quickly, whether you have one bank account or you have a whole portfolio of financial assets and real estate. So doesn't matter your worth. It just makes it more efficient and easier on your family late in life.
It's Ryan, it's kind of like people think that in order to have a will, you've got to have a lot of money, and that just isn't true. You've got to plan early. And what is a good age for someone to put a will together?
It's an interesting question. There is no one answer. Certainly, this pandemic has made it a lot more apparent for a lot of retirees to start planning. But I have plenty of clients who either just had a newborn or were just recently married, as well as the folks who are just recently retired or just got over a large sickness and realize this may be the time to do it. So the right age depends on the person. I think it's whatever you are finally coming to terms that, hey, you are not going to live forever. There are people in your life that care about you and that you want to provide for. And as soon as you're ready to make their lives easier when your end of life is starting to occur, it's the right time for you. And again, in a free consultation, you find out very quickly if it's the right time for you or not.
Ryan, do you handle many guardianship cases?
Yeah, absolutely. My firm handles guardianship cases for the very young. So, for instance, someone who is just turning 18, and the law state, by law they are an adult. However, due to physical or mental handicaps or disabilities, they are not able to perform their daily tasks. All the way to guardianships for your mother, father, grandfather who had a very healthy life, but now doesn't have the capacity to make his own legal or financial or medical decisions. So I handle guardianships at both spectrums, both ends of the spectrum.
Well, I want to bring up one area because I'm very well aware of it. And a lot of people are not. And I think tonight's show is really important. Did you know 1 out of 80 kids that are born autistic? That is a really high number. And what parents who have an autistic child don't realize until it's kind of too late is when their child turns 18, the state takes over unless you do something about it.
Yeah, well, what happens is that person is an adult. That person now can start incurring taxes. That person can start incurring, fines. They're treated as an adult to the law. And so often what happens is the law needs to get involved because that person is left out on their own. I've been a part of a wonderful foundation called Sensibility, where they are a candle making factory, but all of their employees are individuals with Down syndrome or autism. It's incredible. It's in Broward. But through talking to those parents, what I really learned is, there's programs that even help those people out until they're 22. But after 22, they're put out on the street just like if you and I didn't have a job, and it is sad and it is tough for them to manage on their own. So a lot of the services I provide allow for the natural parents or for the family member who's taken over for that person to legally and medically make sure that person is well throughout their adult life. So it's something that I've been shed light on recently by working with these folks. But from a legal perspective, it's always been an issue, and I'm happy to help and glad I'm part of a small part of the good that can help these people.
Tell me if I'm wrong. So if let's say an autistic child, 18, they're not really a child, when they turn 18 and the state comes in, the state has a lot of say on how, if you don't do anything with guardianship, the state has a lot of say on how that child is raised.
Well, eventually that person becomes a neglected adult, right? At 18, they're an adult. If they're not able to care for themselves,
right,
eventually the Department of Children and Families, which is a Florida agency, will open an investigation, determine that this person does not have the capacity to handle their own affairs, and they might at that point recommend or require that person to live in some sort of skilled care facility. So the idea of guardianship is to allow those decisions to be made by the loved ones, by the natural parents or whoever was the person in the family to step up. And the reason I always mention that is very often the parents turn their back. So the idea of guardianship is to allow someone in the family or a trusted loved one to legally be that decision maker. And in that case, there's no need to get the state involved because that person is not neglected. That person has someone who properly can handle their finances and medical type needs.
Well, I bring that up because before I met you, I was involved with an autistic child that it was just so sad. And we talked to other parents, and they did not know that you had to go to court. And it's really tough when you try to do it yourself. I'm telling people, do not try to do this, be an advocate, and do it yourself. You need to get an attorney to do it the right way. It was, Ryan, I can't tell you how difficult it was because we didn't know. And there's no one out there trying to educate us. And when I found out how many children have autism and the parents that did not know when their children turned 18, that it is so important that they understand there's attorneys like your firm that can handle this. Don't do it yourself. I am telling you, we did that, and it was a mess.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but very often when we receive these new clients, it's because of they found out the hard way. For instance, I was working with a woman whose daughter had special needs, and she was running away from home. And she would call the cops, and the cops would say, "How old's your daughter?" And she would say, 22. And the cops would say, "Technically, we can't bring her back. You don't have any right to tell her where to go." Yes, she had absolute severe mental disabilities, but in the eyes of the law, the cops could not pick that woman up and bring her back home. And so we helped this woman establish guardianship for her adult daughter so that next time there was an issue, she could call the local cops and the cops knew to look out for her and bring her home. But Steve-O, you're absolutely right. It's an administrative process if you start early enough, but anything you do within the confines of a courtroom, there's a lot of procedure that
Yes.
experience and the knowledge that a Florida licensed attorney has absolutely will help you navigate, and that's absolutely what our firm does regularly.
So if your grandparents or your mom and dad, you should get, and you have a child with special needs, especially autism, give Ryan, just find out what your rights are. Give Ryan a call tomorrow at 561-588-7512. We're going to go to break right now, Ryan. When we come back, we're going to talk about Medicaid and who's eligible and special trusts and needs that are available. There's so much to learn when it comes to estate planning. And like I said, we have the best estate planning attorneys in South Florida. And it doesn't matter if you're in Broward or wherever, because you do a lot of your work now with Zoom.
Yeah, we do everything remote. If the client likes it that way, our office is still open and we're following social distancing protocols and wearing masks. But we're absolutely able to help Dade, Broward, Miami, Palm Beach, and the Treasure Coast.
We're going to go to break, and we'll have more with Ryan Smoller, Elder Law.
At Elder Law PA, they bring you the support, experience, and knowledge necessary to aid you in determining how to distribute or manage your estate after your death. This can also include your wishes regarding dependent children, individuals with special needs, and pets. Effective estate planning may help avoid costly conflicts between heirs. Elder Law PA handles such cases as Medicaid planning, wills, guardianship, probate and trust, estate planning, and special needs planning. In Florida, there are several strategies available to protect your savings and assets before you apply for Medicaid, as well as programs to offset the cost of home care, assisted living, and nursing homes. The Florida Supreme Court has declared that Florida Medicaid planning activities shall only be performed by an attorney licensed by the Florida Bar. At Elder Law PA, where they have the knowledge and compassion to protect your legacy. Contact Elder Law today for a peace of mind at 561-588-7512. That's 561-588-7512.
We are back. This is the Ask the Expert Show. I'm host Steve-O. We are on every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 on 1470 AM, 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and iHeart. And tonight's show, our expert tonight, is Ryan Smoller with Elder Law. And Ryan, you know, we're talking here about estate planning. And listen, no one knew something as bad as COVID would happen. And this is so important tonight to get out of this show, not to wait any longer. Don't wait to sit down saying, well, I can do it next year or in the next 3 months. Do it now. I mean, we're hearing about a whole nother strain coming here and how bad it's going to be. And I got to tell you, I heard something tonight, Ryan. It was a nurse from a Broward hospital, and she said they were told by the officials at the hospital, this is really wild, to be ready for next week, that there is a big strain that's going to happen. And she said, how do they know this? Well, who knows, but I'm just saying you've got to prepare now for the future and not wait. Don't procrastinate any longer. So let's talk about Medicaid and who is and who isn't eligible, Ryan.
Yeah, so and just to touch on your last point, obviously we don't know what's to come, but one thing that we have noticed is if you are in a skilled facility and you're looking to complete your estate plan, it might be too late if you can't get witnesses and a notary in there because of the fact that they are locking down the facilities still in some cases. And so to bring up to your next point, I didn't mean to
well, Ryan, wait a minute. What do you
but,
do if someone has got COVID and they're not letting anyone in? As a lawyer, can you do anything?
So I have a large staff that are notaries, and we go to facilities and we ask that go to the lobby or as far as the facility will let us. We'll direct the facility management as to how the documents should be executed, and we can usually see through a window or a door.
Okay.
But it's been very clunky. It's been very inefficient. And if the person is in a facility that doesn't allow us to do that, we haven't had anyone turn us down, but it hasn't been the easiest experience. If you're a family going through it, just imagine having to have your entire law office come to your facility.
Right.
They plan ahead. Come out. We do signings where you can stay in your car, so you don't have to be exposed to the office. And so when there's a will, there's a way, but it absolutely is easy. And the facilities don't have any obligation to allow you to bring witnesses in. They may allow you to sign, but if they don't have witnesses on site, it's a difficult and really inefficient endeavor. So
wow.
How do you do it when there's a way? But the better answer is plan ahead, Steve.
Don't wait till you get to the hospital to start thinking about it. Let's talk about Medicaid. Who's eligible and who isn't?
Yeah, so Medicaid, I really want to stress this to the folks. I'm glad you asked the question. Most of the people driving are saying, well, I have really good health insurance. I don't need Medicaid. Or I have Medicare. I don't need Medicaid. Medicaid is not Medicare. Medicaid is not your health insurance. Medicaid covers your nurses if you cannot eat. Medicaid will cover your nurses if your husband can't get out of bed and you as a wife that's smaller than him can't lift him out of bed and get him into the shower. So who is eligible for Medicaid? Anyone over the age of 65 or anyone who has or is applying for disability. From a financial perspective, when you see an elder law attorney like me, we can plan and position your assets in a way that anybody is eligible, so long as you're willing to plan ahead and position your assets or reinvest in your assets according to my advisement or my firm's advisement. But really, the take home is anyone over the 65 or with a disability is eligible. And just because you have Medicare or just because you have, really good Humana or any of the other large player health insurances does not mean Medicaid cannot help you.
Wow. So Medicaid would take care of home care?
Medicaid in some instances will allow 3 to 5 hours a day of home care. If not, it will pay for a portion or all of your assisted living or skilled nursing bill, which is really a huge deal when nursing homes are costing maybe $8,000 to $12,000 a month, and an assisted living is costing somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. It's a very large benefit to someone to anyone really, but to most people whose income does not reach that amount per month.
Is this expensive? I mean, it sounds like it would be.
So my firm uses all flat fees, and we are less than it would cost for a month of care. And usually we're planning at the same time that we're giving someone the advice to create an estate plan. So we make it very affordable. For a couple $1,000s, you can have an estate plan as well as ensure your $8,000 to $12,000 nursing home bill is covered by the state. So we are very affordable. We are very competitive. And the one thing I can promise you, Steve-O, is we give you a flat fee. So whatever that cost is to you, we'll know it up front. We're not one of those offices that will bill hourly, and at the end of the month, you have a larger bill than you were expecting.
So it must be, Ryan, it must be hard to convince, say, a 50-year-old, doesn't matter, male or female, that they really need to have Medicaid, because they don't want to start thinking about the future that far in advance, but they actually need to.
Yeah, there are some strategies we can put in place when they are, earlier. However, Steve-O, it's funny, when we're talking to a 50-year-old, we're usually talking to them about their parents who are in their 70s or 80s. And so what normally happens is we're talking about the parents. At the end of the meeting, the kid says, wow, so in 20, 30 years, I'm going to need to do this too. And I say, might as well plan for you now. So interesting enough, sometimes we get new clients just because they just went through it with their parents or older siblings. And now they say, hey, 20 or 30 years goes by in a flash. Ryan, what can we do today to at least take some early steps? And so there's a couple things we can do, if nothing more than just signing your power of attorney, so that when you are 70 or 80, your son or daughter or your brother or sister or your best friend can come into my office, and I don't need to do the whole guardianship song and dance. We can immediately start planning because you signed a document 30 years ago allowing me to talk specifically about your situation. So it's almost like a cycle. The 50-year-olds are talking about their older parents, and then they realize they have to do it.
That makes it. Ryan, when is a special needs trust necessary?
Yeah, so it's you brought it up. You mentioned guardianship at the beginning. Very often, if someone is in a guardianship or how we just talked about is on Medicaid, and they're being left sums of money by either living loved ones or deceased loved ones, a special needs trust allows for someone to take the money, take the assets that they would have received as a gift, without being kicked off their public benefit, without being kicked off Medicaid. So let's say you had a special needs child, and at your passing you wanted to leave them your estate. You wouldn't be able to leave it to them if they were on Medicaid or disability outright. So we would set up a special needs trust so you can leave the gift to your son or daughter because you love them and you wanted to provide for them, but you didn't want their benefits to be removed.
Right.
And so you put your assets, your gift to them in this trust, and now they can have best of both worlds. They can use your gift to help out their quality of life, and they can still receive the nursing and other benefits that Medicaid and disability provide. So it's anyone that has a special need that is someone leaving them money, or they might be getting a large sum of money from, let's say a lawsuit that they've won.
So, Ryan, we only have a few minutes left. I'm going to put you on the spot. Why should I retain you as my estate planning attorney versus somebody else, another firm?
Yeah, I love that question. So, I always say that an elder law attorney is just an estate planning attorney with a lot more patience. Elder law's slogan is where knowledge and compassion meet to protect your legacy. And all that means is, of course, I went to school. I've been doing this 10 years. I'm a Florida licensed attorney, but there's a lot of us out there. Where I think sets me apart is the patience, the compassion, the absolute ability to sit with a client and feel with them and understand that, yes, we're planning and everything we're doing is black and white on paper, but there's a family on the other side of that table. So really that compassion, that patience is what I think sets me and my firm apart.
And one other thing that we've talked about is how important service is to your firm, to your clients. Very important. Right there at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah, we got
customer service.
Yeah, well, I have 2 receptionists, Steve-O, from 9 to 5, ready to take your calls and questions and intakes. Because of the fact that we don't like to see the phone ring 1 or 2 times. We want to pick up on the first ring because we know people are in times of need.
So this has been God, it goes by so fast, Ryan. Give everybody your office number. Please give him a call tomorrow morning. Listen, you can sit down with Ryan, and there's no charge for that, just to sit down and let him go over what you have. You have nothing to lose. Or you can Zoom if you're in Broward. But give everybody your phone number.
Yes, certainly. Thanks, Steve-O. Phone number is 561-588-7512. And it really gives families a chance to start to realize what they have that they might not have remembered. And it's a plan that if we do it right once, we don't have to revisit again later in life.
Right. Thanks, Ryan. The name of the firm is Elder Law. Ryan will be back with us again next month, and I'll see you guys on Thursday at 6 o'clock with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O.